It's the Magic Gathering Strat Show. It's a show about a magic podcast.
Magic.
Hello, everybody. It's me, Brennan, your lovable host. Along with me, as always, are my two co-hosts. Say hello, Sam.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing this week, tonight, in general?
And from across the water in the frozen north, it's Dan, the fan of history.
Hello!
Hey, Dan.
Hey!
Hey, as you guys might have noticed, this title has changed. It's more in line with the website that I write the articles for. So, but I don't want you to... yeah, I don't want you to fret, because we'll always have a place for Standard Pauper. That's right. We'll start the show just like we always do with what happened this week in Standard Pauper. The SPDC 2801 played this past Sunday. 18 players, 18 decks reported. Thank you very much. 3-round Swiss. Top 8 playoff hosted by Dr. Chris Baker. We'll talk about the winner, but I want everybody to look at the top 8. Who is that down there? Oh my gosh. It's our man Dan, the fan of history. Dan, you made top 8.
Yes, yay, Dan.
And there was a lot of Gary's Cruise decks in the tournament.
Yes.
You can see 3 in the top 8.
It's crazy, but yes. There's
and Master of Physics Esper deck is pretty much a Gary's Cruise deck as well.
Oh, really? What's he splashing?
He's splashing for white removal.
Oh, okay.
And something in the cipher, I think.
Last Breath, I believe, is like the big tech.
Yeah, get rid of Gary.
Yep.
Yeah, last breath is hardcore.
And I think he lost to Gary's Cruise.
Yeah.
Or Demure Devotion.
Yeah, Demure Devotion. I'm afraid that was your nemesis in this particular matchup, but Demure Devotion did win. Let's take a look at this evil deck that beat our friend Dan. It is very similar to your deck, Dan.
Yeah, it looks like the old version from RR Media's win last week.
Let's see. He does not have the excuse me, Sultai Emissary.
No, and I think Sultai Emissary should be cut from the deck, but I have not given up on him yet. He also only plays 3 black cats.
Oh.
You got to have the cats.
And no main deck Naiads either.
No, that's true. Yeah, but those are optionals, but you got to have the cat.
Oh, yeah.
I've edited the deck since I played it, and I'm now doing 2 Nimbus Naiad main deck, but I still have the 1 Sultai Emissary.
Alright, I see. Any creature that replaces itself with a bigger creature is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the 4 Disciple of Phoenix is pretty brave as well. Because he's not that good against aggro.
Yeah.
So you can say that he metagamed very well. Because this tournament was filled with control decks.
Mm-hmm.
It is great against control.
Yeah. It's definitely a sideboard card against control, almost.
Yep. Let's take a look at an opening hand. We have Swamp Island, Typhoid Rats. That art is just freaky.
It is amazing.
Farika's Cure. Oh, there it is. There's a black cat. A Skull Hunter. And a Disciple of Phoenix.
Yeah, before you die, you see the cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would keep this. No questions asked.
Yeah, it's good. You're playing a lot.
If you're up against a deck with fast flyers like White Weenie, maybe you can reconsider this hand, but you're going to get a card with the Skull Hunter, who I now have cut from the deck.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you have the Black Cat. He will stop the ground aggression.
No, I think it's a good hand.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's take a look at the curve. This is different than the curves we've seen recently.
Because it's a curve?
Yes. It's a real curve.
Yep. It actually is. It has a curve. It has a top end, bottom end, high at the 2-drop. Hey, this is what you expect to see in most decks.
Wait a minute. Go back to the deck list.
Deck list. Uh-huh.
Where did the cards go?
Just gonna check what he's drawing cards with. He's reading bones. Yes, that's a big difference.
Read the bones. Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's a mistake. I think Sign in Blood is a lot better because you're using all your mana every turn for the first 10 turns, pretty much.
Yeah.
And you can't afford to have another 3 mana card or spell.
Right. One of my favorite aspects of Sign in Blood is the 2 damage it can do to your opponent when you need it.
Yes.
Which is not irrelevant. And I think, just the 3 mana, losing 2 life, is the scry even worth it at that point? I don't really think it is.
And actually, the damage is very important because you often have a hard time finishing the game. Mm-hmm. You're often stuck with an army of rats and cats on the ground that can't get through, and then you finish the game by chaining Garys and bouncing them. And then being able to do 2 more damage is really important.
I agree. I'm always a fan of targeted damage.
Yep.
Alright, well, let's go back through. Same opening hand. Here's the curve. Alright, but yeah, I agree with the first opening hand. I would have kept it too. You can play at least 3 cards in your hand without drawing anything else, so I'm a fan.
Too many 2 mana spells is never a problem because you have all these tapped lands. So on turn 3 you can play a 2 mana spell and play a tapped land.
Sounds perfect. Let's look at the next 6 cards. Okay, off the top of the deck we get... Ooh.
Okay, now we want land.
Yes, we want land.
We need land
time.
very bad.
Turn 2. Still need land.
Else to hide behind, but now we're dead against White Weenie.
Yeah. Oh, there's an evolving. At least it's something.
A land
turn 3.
Turns.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about it this way, turn 1, if you're on the draw, play a land. Turn 2, you're going to draw the Pharicas, play a land. Turn 3, you draw a land, can play a land.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Now we can cast the Pharicas.
Oh, we can cast the Pharicas. And then your turn 4, you draw that Treasure Cruise.
Yeah, and if the 2 Death Touch guys and Black Cat is dead, and then you have Evolving Wilds, then you can almost cast the Treasure Cruise here.
Yeah, it's getting real close.
Yeah, Pharicas Cure, that's it. That's the last thing you need.
Oh, okay, cool. And now you have Swamp.
Yeah.
So look, you're sitting pretty at this point.
Actually, you have probably stopped any ground assault at this point. And now Read the Bones will be a problem because you have so few lands.
Right.
Whereas
but there you go.
That turn you draw the Read the Bones there, you could probably have gone, if it was Sign in Blood, you could probably have Sign in Blood, Treasure Cruise the same turn.
Oh yeah, because you'd already have your 2 swamps and have 3 other lands up.
Yep.
And several in the yard. Yeah.
You could even read Bones and Treasure Cruise, but...
Oh my god. Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, you have a ton of cards.
Awesome. Alright, well, to talk a little bit more about Standard Pauper, we're going to talk to the man himself, Gwynedd, who runs the MPDC. Alright, let's see if we can get our special guest on the line. It's Gwynedd. His real name is George. Let's see if I can get him on the line. George, you there?
I am. How you doing tonight, Brennan?
I'm all right. How are you this evening?
Doing very well.
Excellent. Well, as anybody should know, Gwynedd runs the MPDC and has been a big proponent of Standard Pauper for a very long time. We're very pleased to have you on. Thank you for joining us this evening.
My pleasure. Happy to be here. Always
Great.
Happy to talk about Standard Pauper.
Heck yeah. We mentioned at the top of the show that before we got you on that the standard Pauper show is changing, but we're still having the standard Pauper portion at the beginning of every show. We're going to move this. It's going to be titled Magic Gathering Strat Podcast, just to kind of go along with the website, be more closely related. But we're still doing standard Pauper at the beginning of every show anyway. So,
Makes
wanted
sense.
to let you know. Yeah. And it allows us a little more flexibility. But enough about that. Let's talk to you. All right. We're all playing it, the Sealed Standard Pauper League. How is that going? And do you have any updates for us?
Well, I feel like it's been going fairly well. You know, anytime you get a group as large as we have together, there's always some bumps in the road. We've had players having trouble communicating with other players. We've got people in time zones all over the world trying to straighten things out, and it's actually been a little bit more of a hassle as far as just getting the sealed pools out every week and communication than I thought maybe it would be at first. But I'm glad I'm doing it, and I'm definitely enjoying it, and I've gotten lots of good feedback from people, so well worth it.
Oh yeah, I've had a great time playing so far. It was really cool. I was a little skeptical at first. I was like, how is this going to work out? But once we got the pools and once we started putting the decks together, it all just seemed to come together, and I was actually quite pleased with it so far. I've had a good time.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I've actually only gotten to play one of my two matches so far. Lost the only match I got to play, and then my second week, my opponent was unable to show up and ended up having to drop from the event. So,
that's too bad.
Haven't done a whole lot myself yet, but that's all right.
I didn't have time to play my first week, but my second week I got to play with my greedy mana base. It's amazing.
Oh, you.
8 dual lands means I can play whatever I want to play. 5 colors.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe. I don't know why he does it. It seems pure torture to me.
It's awesome.
Hey,
I'm good stuff. Come on.
It's all the good stuff I could fit in one deck, man.
Yes, let's make it very possible, so.
Right. I've been playing Selesnya deck. It just sort of came together, and I've been very pleased with the additions. I like when we get our new packs. Every week we can add. Basically, I've just been revising and improving what's in there. So that's been pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that was a good feature. That was definitely something that several people suggested, and it just makes a lot of sense. So even if you're not happy with the original pool, and just getting that one extra booster every week really makes a big difference as far as what you can put in your deck. And it's funny that you mentioned Selesnya, because that's ended up the build I ended up with as well. I think the first week I had a Boros build that just didn't really work out. I ended up opening 3 Lightning Strike, and so definitely wanted to get that in there, but ended up that my mana will allow me to at least splash it, so I'm playing Selesnya with a splashing 3 Lightning Bolts.
Wow.
I guess not Lightning Strike. Excuse me.
Lightning Strike, right. Lightning Strike. We wish it was Lightning Bolt,
yes.
But they probably wouldn't print it at common.
Yeah, it would be a rare.
A rare.
A rare. No, I mean, it's been a lot of fun. And how many, not scouting, just asking, did everybody jump in on Fate Reforged for the first week that it was available, or was it kind of still mixed for other sets?
Well, this will be the first, for next week will be the first week where people will be able to request Fate Reforged. So I've gotten a couple
I thought
requests
it was
for Fate
this
Reforged
week.
yet, but yeah, no, not for this week. So for this coming week will be the first time that that those packs will go out.
I kind of feel like a lot of people are going to be like, "Can I have some Fate Reforged, please?" No, just to try it out. I mean, white and blue are super strong, so I'm probably going to go that route because that's kind of the core of my deck. So, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of people will jump on that bandwagon if for no other reason than just to try it out. I know a lot of people haven't really played with the cards much yet. So
exactly. Yeah, it seems to me it's almost like Ultimate Pack Wars.
Yeah, that's true.
It seems like that's the feeling I get. It's like, all right, add another pack. Yes, make the Ultimate Pack Wars deck.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the current standard Pauper meta. before we get too much into this, you want to give those who might not know, or those who are just joining, because this will be up there in perpetuity, so if people go back and listen to these episodes, you want to kind of give a little rundown of your relationship with PDC Magic and running the standard Pauper, or the Monday Pauper Deck Challenge?
Yeah, sure. Be happy to talk a little bit about that. Well, I actually got on Magic Online back in 2009, believe it or not. And one of the things that attracted me to it was actually the Monday Pauper Deck Challenge event that was being run at the time. I joined and probably played within the first week or two in that event, finished in the top 8, and said,
wow,
man, this is something that I want to keep doing. That was right when Lorwyn block was just about to wrap up, and I think Shards of Alara had just come out. And so I started playing, got to know a lot of the people who were there. And then a couple years later, the host, whose name was Zero Fusion, had to step down. There was a lot of talk about who would be taking it over after him, and after some discussion, I kind of threw my name into the ring, as it were, and eventually persuaded some of the veterans that I would do a good job, and I have basically been hosting it ever since.
Wow.
I think I took a couple month hiatus while I was moving. I moved about a year and a half ago and took some time off from it then.
Right.
But the person who took over for me didn't end up being able to do it much longer, and so I said, well, I'll just jump right back in.
Well, great. I'm glad you did. And so, what have you noticed about this standard meta? Kind of thinking about, believe it or not, Theros is coming to a close in the next few months, which is crazy for me to think about. To me, Theros is still a new set. So Theros is coming around, and we have Dragons coming up real soon. What are your thoughts on the current Pauper meta? And do you see, since you're so into it right now, so deep into the metagame, do you see patterns forming, or do you see something on the horizon?
It's interesting. I think this is the first time in a long time in Standard Pauper where we've had this really big divide between aggro and control, with really nothing in the middle. Usually, at least in past seasons, we've seen a lot more kind of the mid-range decks end up being the ones that rise to the top. Aggro usually dominates in the early season, and then as time goes on, the control decks become more and more evident, more powerful in the current metagame. But this time it's really split. I still feel like the Boros heroic decks on one end of the spectrum and the Izzet control decks on the other are probably still the two best decks in the format right now.
Yeah, it's been. Whenever I'm making, my either an article or doing this podcast, when I'm putting together the decks for the week, you really see, for me at least, because I concentrate mainly on just the winners, you really see how, what is dominant. And there's been a lot of mono red and a lot of that Boros heroic, on top of a lot of Gary and his rat friends.
Yes, yeah.
So you have that, you have that control versus the hyper aggro. So I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it is nice that there's actually a lot of decks still, even though I think those two are the best. White Weenie, the red deck wins, either mono black or mono blue. Orzhov, those are all, I think, contenders right now in the meta game, and even a few other random things as well.
I mean, and we've been big fans of the whole format for years, and looking back at the Flickergate decks and the Demiri Mill decks, I mean, it's really nice having a lot of variety right now. So even though there's a couple dominant decks, there's not one dominant deck. So definitely a good time for the format. So
I agree. Anytime mono blue can be a dominant deck, I'm on board.
Anytime you can make a squid token, Brennan is happy.
I love it.
Speaking of which, squids.
Heck yeah, those little island walkers are precious to me. So, speaking of past formats and past meta, what has been your favorite standard Pauper meta, and what was your least favorite? I heard a sigh when you mentioned Flickergate, and I think we all sigh when we think of Flickergate. But so I guess what's been your favorite and what's been your least favorite?
I think my favorite meta that I've ever seen for standard Pauper was at the release of Zendikar while Shards was still in the format. Having that combination of all three of the Shards of Alara sets plus Zendikar was just a really cool set. Wizards was still printing some really, really powerful commons. They hadn't quite figured out how the New World Order thing was going to shape things out. And so you just had a lot of really powerful cards that did a lot of cool things, with all the multicolor and Shards of Lara and then the hyper-aggressive cards from Zendikar. It just made for a really explosive format with lots of cool things that you could do.
Yeah, that seems awesome because you have, you got lots of multicolor in Alara, but then you have things like Vent Sentinel.
Yeah.
and that seems awesome.
Mono Black must have been really strong at that point because vampires and common are super, really aggressive, so...
Yeah, there was a really good kind of mono black vampires deck at the time. There was Core Skyfisher ended up being kind of the broken card of that format where people were using it to bounce Gravediggers and chaining Gravediggers together. There actually was, I'm using Vent Sentinel, there was a Defender deck that just played all the Zendikar, Rise of Eldrazi, eventually, all those Defender walls that had all the special powers, and there was crazy stuff in there.
Yeah, that sounds awesome to me, that Defender deck. I would have done that. that would have been what I played.
It's always kind of fringe, but when it worked really well.
Awesome. Sounds ideal. What has been so far your least favorite meta?
I think, you mentioned the Flickergate thing before. I think actually prior to the Gatekeepers, it was the Archaeomancer Flicker combination, I think, was by far the worst. This was right after the release of Magic 2013, and I'm using Archaeomancer and Ghostly Flicker. You could actually cast Ghostly Flicker, flickering the Archaeomancer and one other card. You would then return, of course, the Ghostly Flicker to your hand using the Archaeomancer, and then you would also flicker something else as well. So you would end up, and you could chain those into each other, where sometimes you would cast 2 or even 3 of those in a round, and it was just disgusting.
Yeah, I remember the very first time I played Standard Pauper, it was right about that time, and someone was using... It was what was it? It was Mistraven. So I had stuff out there and just like Archaeomancer Flicker, Mistraven. I was like, what? It didn't matter what I played. It just went right back to my hand. That was unfun. I don't think I played Standard Pauper again for quite a while.
Yeah, that deck was really abusive, and it's funny looking back on my blog, the number one post that's gotten the most hits over the years has been the one where I talked about whether Ghostly Flicker should have been banned in Standard Pauper or not. That is by far the highest number of reads.
It was super abusive, and I think they haven't went back to the Flicker well in a while because of effects like that kind of being a little too degenerative, so...
Yeah, I can see it because the things they did in the Innistrad block, 2 problems. Number 1, making Delver common. It's ridiculous.
It's just a creature. Come on.
Yeah, it's just a creature. And making Ghostly Flicker common as well. I could see it at a higher rarity just from a limited play sort of view, but wow, those cards in that block, I think they made a few rarity errors.
Well, yeah, I think every time they do like the top-down design thing, I think more things sneak through, and that's what they did in Innistrad. So, because it was all about the flavor, and then the mechanics kind of came second. So, but they haven't made very many mistakes like that.
Yeah. I was going to say it's a tough balance because on the one hand, part of me wants to applaud every time Wizards print some broken common because it means there's going to be interesting and fun and powerful cards in the format. But on the other hand, when they become so degenerative that they take over the entire format, it's a hard balancing act.
Yeah, I'm completely with you on that. It's like when I saw Treasure Cruise, I was all for it. I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. But on the other hand, I've been keeping a cruise watch to see just if it is taking over or not. I don't see it taking over standard Pauper. It's definitely there, and that any deck that splashes blue is probably going to run it. But I haven't seen it, even with Flickergate, I don't see Ghostly Flicker in every deck in the top 4, so I don't see the Treasure Cruise in that same situation.
Yeah, if you're a control deck, you should probably be playing Treasure Cruise, but as long as those aggro decks continue to be a strong force in the metagame, I don't think Treasure Cruise will ever end up, so warping the format that we need to talk about banning it.
Right. I agree. So, I think you already kind of talked about this. What got you started playing Magic in general? Like when you first picked up those cards, what got you started from the very beginning?
Way back, this would have been back in 1994, I think, right about the time that 4th edition was coming out. I had a friend from high school who bought a pack of Revised and maybe a couple packs and, brought them to me, and we, played a couple rounds and tried to make sense of the rule book. And, we lived in a small town. There wasn't a whole lot else to do, and, kind of fell in love with the game and said, wow, this is really great. Got some of my other friends into it. We would actually get in my car once I got my license and drive 45 minutes to the nearest card shop just so we could buy packs.
Awesome.
That's dedication right there.
It was. It really was. But we had, and it's funny, I can still remember there's this case in that comic book store, and they had a Black Lotus in there that was $100, and we just thought, wow, I can't imagine why we would ever spend $100 on a card. And of course now I'm like, man, if I could go back in a time machine and just buy that Black Lotus for $100, would have been the best investment I could have ever made.
Right, it would have been awesome. You want to hear my feel bad story about a Black Lotus?
You sure?
I don't tell this very often because it's so feel bad. Okay, when I started playing Magic, I was at the University of Texas at Dallas, and I worked in the computer lab. So we had direct access to this new thing called the Internet. And so on there were news groups. In the news groups, there was a Magic one that was you could trade Magic cards. Or you could buy them. They had little auctions. They would have someone, you'd email your bid to them. This is way before eBay, anything like that. And someone would post who has the highest bid, on their post. You just kind of follow it. So I was on this news group, and I was bidding on a beta Black Lotus. And I bid the astronomical amount of $55.
Wow.
And I won it.
Oh, wow.
So I got the beta Black Lotus, $55, and kept it for a long time. Didn't really play with it. Put it in a top loader, real secure, in a crappy card holder.
Nice.
It was played, but it's still in good condition. No real scratches or anything. And then I got married a few years later and realized that I had to pay rent. So I made an account on this new website called eBay. And I've said, I have a beta Black Lotus. I had a few other things I needed to pay, but I needed to pay rent. So I put it up there and ended up selling it for, I made twice times my money back. That's right, I sold it for $150, y'all.
Oh, that just hurts me inside.
That is definitely a feel bad story. That's painful.
It hurts. But I was able to pay rent and didn't get kicked out. So
there is something to be said for that. I still remember having some of the revised dual lands that I basically just gave away to a friend. He's like, "Oh, these aren't all that great. Here, give me a Siobhan Dragon. That's better. Sure, I'll trade."
Yep. I traded. I think I traded Caracas for something stupid at some point.
Yeah,
I sold 4 Force of Wills for $20 each once. I sold my whole collection to buy my wife a bulldog that we kept for like 4 months.
Oh.
So magic and love, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's one of those things.
So anyway, I ended up graduating from high school and knew I was moving out of town. Didn't know anyone where I was going who was playing Magic. So I said, well, I sold all my cards to a friend, and that was the end of Magic until years later. Again, this would have been, I guess, 2008. I had my brother-in-law actually. I was visiting him for Christmas. He's like, "Hey, look, there's this. Did you know you can play Magic online now?" And he showed it to me, and I was like, "Wow, that's really cool." So I did my research and ended up getting back into it. Obviously, a lot had changed in that, almost 10. I guess more than 10 years, like 13 years since I'd last played, but that's been playing ever since.
Yeah, I started back in '93, and I didn't log into Magic Online until right about the time that M13 came out. But I saw it they were doing on io9.com, they were doing the art of New Phyrexia. And I was like, "Oh, this is awesome. That's Magic? That's not the kind of crappy cards I remember looking at."
Yeah, big difference.
And that got
the art has gotten a lot better.
Oh, yeah. The art is like actual, frameable, beautiful art now. So that's
I actually
cool.
started playing about the same time you did, George, between 4th and Ice Age. Mm-hmm. So right around that time frame in high school. It was a glorious time. I think my first rare was the 4th edition Force of Will. Force of Nature. So that was pretty good. I was like, green is wonderful. And now I'm like, if I play green, it burns me.
We all go through those stages.
Yeah, it's called life. Green is bad. Okay, sorry.
That's
Poor
all right.
green.
It gets such a bad rap. Except for Rancor. Rancor is awesome.
Rancor is amazing.
So, do you have any interest in other budget formats? I know you are like the figurehead of Standard Pauper. Are there other formats that you play or that you think about playing even? Or that interest you at all?
I dabbled for a while in Classic Pauper, but one of the big reasons that I was attracted to Standard Pauper in the first place is because I didn't want to spend any money. And even in Classic Pauper, you still have to spend some money. So
yes, you do.
That's the best part about Standard Pauper is typically you can take like $5 and get the entire format most of the time. So, that's when you know it's love.
Pretty incredible. No
I enjoy limited play in general, and if there was a way, I'm really interested when and if Magic Online gets leagues back, that might be something that, I don't know if that would technically be considered a budget format, but it certainly would be a pretty, low dollar compared to a lot of their other offerings. But
right. I think that'll be awesome, and I don't know why it has taken them so long to get it back. I was never able to play it to begin with, but just from what I heard about it, it seems absolutely ideal. It's the whole thing that Hearthstone has capitalized on, is that pick up and go kind of play, which is that's awesome. And it seems like you're just kind of letting money slip through your fingers by not playing that.
So you had put up an article today about I can't remember the name of the card off the top of my head, the white black. Seems like it would be really good in a tokens deck, but it doesn't really work very well. What is that?
A Harsh Sustenance.
Harsh Sustenance, yeah.
Yeah. Would you rather play Bathe in Dragonfire, or do you think, where do you think the breakdown between those two particular cards are? Because I think Bathe in Dragonfire has its 3 casting costs, 1 red, 2 colorless, does 4 damage no matter what. Or Harsh Substance, where it could maybe take your opponent out.
Yeah, and I think that's the real reason that you'd want to play Harsh Sustenance over Bathe in Dragonfire would be more about I'm interested in targeting my opponent and finishing them off with it as opposed to using it for spot removal. And that was kind of my focus on and what I was writing in that blog post was just that I don't think even in a dedicated tokens build that you can have enough consistency with Harsh Sustenance to actually use it as much of a finisher. I think if you have a creature heavy build that doesn't have access to red, Harsh Sustenance might be useful there as spot removal, but I don't think you're going to get the big finish off of it that you would with something like a Corrupt, or even Tendrils of Corruption was another similar card. That one only targeted creatures, but I don't even think Harsh Sustenance is as good as that. I thought it might be, but it's at least from my experience, I don't think it's as good as all that.
It just doesn't feel like you ever end up with enough creatures on board. While, you're hitting your land drops, you're going to get enough swamps to make the Corrupt a really good card. So, yeah, I really wanted it to be a better card than it ended up being. I think that it's going to play out being. But, I mean, that's part of the, the speculation on what's going to be good, what's not going to be good. So...
Yeah, and it may be that once Theros rotates out, and if we don't get more of the -1/-1 sorceries that are instants, that the tokens build will be a little more viable, and then you'll be able to, if you don't have those really easy ways of dealing with all the tokens, maybe Harsh Sustenance will be better then.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't Barrage of Boulders? That's from Cons, but doesn't it cost like 4? It's just not as effective.
Yeah, I think it's
3 in red. I think
it's 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 in red or 3 in red. I can't remember.
And just the 1 red scry 1 effect. I mean, that's just super strong. Like you'd almost just burn that for the scry if it's even not relevant in a lot of matches. So.
Yep.
Yeah, and almost anybody, if they have access to red, have that in their sideboard right now.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to add? Any announcements you want to make, or anything you want the good people to be reminded of?
Just my heart continues to be with Standard Pauper. It's kind of a bad time for Magic Online right now. We've seen a lot of people selling out, or a lot of players just saying, "Hey, it just isn't something I want to do." But I feel like prior to the switch from version 3 to version 4, that Standard Pauper had gained a whole lot of popularity and was really moving toward a place where maybe even in the future that Wizards would consider giving it some sanctioned play. And I just would love to see people, even though times are bad on Magic Online, they're going to get better. And one of the best ways that you can kind of ride through the problems with Magic Online is stop giving Wizards your money, but continue to play Standard Pauper.
Exactly. I fully support that opinion.
I can't remember the last time I gave Wizards any money. I do everything on the secondary market. It's really weird. Like, there has to be a lot of players like me that never buy tickets or product from the store. So, but anyway, no, I completely agree. I mean, and I enjoy all of the articles you put up, even the Hearthstone stuff that it's not really a game that I play. I tried. I just found that it was lacking depth. But now I read all of your stuff. Get back to making videos because I enjoy your perspective quite a bit. So.
Yeah, that's something that I would enjoy doing more of, and I keep telling myself I'm going to do it. And time has been getting away from me, but I'm hoping maybe this season I'll be able to really crank out at least 3 or 4 of them and get those up. And because I've had several people tell me that they'd really like me to continue to making those videos.
Yep, I would too. It's hey, I want to support this format, and I want it to grow. And I think we're all working together towards that goal. And having entertainment along with a little insight is always a good thing.
Yeah, and I appreciate you guys. As far as I know, you're the only podcast out there that's supporting Standard Paupers, so I really appreciate that. And I'll make sure whenever the show comes out to retweet it to all my followers. So I'm hoping that you're seeing some bump up in your in your click-throughs from that.
Well, I appreciate you doing that, and I appreciate you coming on the show this evening. I will post in the show notes of this show you want to tell the people how to get in touch with you if they need to talk to you?
Sure. Best way to get a hold of me is on Twitter. I follow Twitter pretty closely. My username is just like my name, GWYNED 42, and you can look me up on Twitter there. You're welcome to email me. It's, again, my username, GWYNED@gmail.com. Yep, I'm going to throw that email address right out there. Now, you've all got it. Give it to all your spam bots. No, please, actually, don't do that. But I'd love to hear from you. I'd love stories, suggestions. I also regularly, 3 times a week, write on my blog, and that's writeradept.blogspot.com. It's kind of a play. If you'll notice the picture there, that's Urtai Wizard Adept, so I'm instead not a Wizard Adept, but a Writer Adept. I don't know if anyone's ever caught that, but now you guys maybe will be the first to understand what that's all about. So I am the Writer Adept, writeradept.blogspot.com.
Yeah, I read all your articles every week. Enjoy them a lot.
Well, thank you. It's always good to know that people are reading the content that's being made. Sometimes it feels like, and I'm sure you guys feel like this sometimes, you throw stuff out there and you just have no idea, does anyone hearing, is anyone listening, does anyone care?
Right. It appears that a lot of people consume the content, very few feedback.
Yeah.
So, just the way it is, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it is the way it is.
All right. Well, again, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys having me on. This was fun.
Cool. Yeah, you're welcome anytime. All right, now let's catch up with what we did this week. Dan, what was your week like? Any big announcements?
Yes. As I said last time, my life is changing for the worse on March the 5th. Mm-hmm. And in order to counter that, I have launched a Patreon for Magic Gathering Strat. Patreon is a site where you can donate on a regular basis. It's on a monthly basis to a creator you appreciate. So this is for both this podcast, the website, the YouTube channel, our Twitch, etc. And when you donate, you become a member of the mysterious Beleran Society. Ooh. And there you get rewards based on how much you donate. You get like video requests and stuff. And then there are milestone goals. So I commit to doing stuff depending on the size of the Patreon. So as I will have much limited time after March the 5th, this is like a contract where I commit to making certain things. So at this point we have reached the 4th milestone goal. So I'm committing to 1 weekly Pauper video, 1 weekly standard Pauper video, and 1 weekly modern video, and 1 patron-only video blog. But these videos will be made available to the general public with a week or 2 delay. So the patrons get to see the videos first. And this is also so you know that I'm not going anywhere. The YouTube channel will be going on. And the videos are... the other video makers are not affected by the changes in my life. So the channel will still be there. But I might be in danger of being able to do much fewer videos. And the big milestone goal is at... the first big one is at $50. If you can get people to donate $50 a month, there will be a 3rd season of the Pauper Gauntlet starting in November.
Awesome.
Well, that is a goal we're striving for, folks.
Yes.
Yeah. And one of the Patreon rewards is at $5 is that you get a brewer spot in the Pauper Gauntlet. So you get 1 brew, no questions asked, into the Pauper Gauntlet.
That sounds dangerous.
That's actually not on the site, so it's in the Beleran Society and on here, so now you know that.
That's awesome. Yeah, one thing I'd like to add is it's really cool. This has been a labor of love for most of us on the site. There's, it's just something that we have been doing. Dan posted a video that pretty much sums up, where we've all kind of come from on the site as far as, when we started making videos, what we had lofty goals, and but there's reality. But this is a way that you can actually make those lofty goals happen. It will support this podcast. It'll support the videos that I put up on the channel. It'll support the articles. It helps, everyone involved in the site. It's not just something that, it's not money that you're just throwing away. It actually improves what's already there. It's one of those things that it's a new level of commitment from us to you, the viewers. And it's just I think it's just a great way to, get closer to our fan base.
Yes.
So
there is also, of course, this money will go to finally paying the article writers and paying video makers fairly. So we do pay the video makers now, but it's very little.
Right. Labor of love, people.
As part of this, I made a major announcement then on the YouTube channel, because I really don't want to go into this work position I do on March the 5th. So I do want to quit. And my dream is to become a full-time YouTuber podcaster. And this Patreon is but one small part of that. But I need to get together at least $1,200 a month. Then I have a family and 2 homes, etc. So, but it's all in the video. We should link that from the show notes. But so that's absolutely my goal, to be able to do that this year. So I'll keep you updated on that.
That'll be great. If you can do that, I will live vicariously through your dream, Dan.
Also, if I might be doing mainstream games on YouTube, but I really don't want to. But the Swedish gaming channels are so popular, so I do have a Sims 4 video project lined up. Please help me to be able to play Magic instead of Sims 4.
If we go that route, I have some old school games that I would play on the channel to get more views. So.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, I'll tell you about my Sims 4 idea later.
Sounds good. Well, do you have any updates on Gary's cruise? I know you made top 8. Did you want to take a look at that?
Yeah. I did have some old cards in the deck that I'm blindly following RR Media, almost blindly. He is the great Jedi Master of Gary's Cruise, and me and George Jacob are just his disciples. So I have cut the Skull Hunter from the deck.
Okay.
In a control heavy meta, I would play 3 Disciple of Phoenix in the main. There is I put a Nimbus Naiad in over Skull Hunter. I felt the Nimbus Naiad was really good against control. So it's probably really Skull Hunter or Emissary against aggro main deck, and Naiad against control. But some of the aggro decks we have problems with. The big problem for this deck, we normally crush other control decks. But the thing that gets us is flyers. So flyers are the problem. And under A, the guy who won, he won the final duel of the quarterfinal by having more Nimbus Naiad than I did.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so Nimbus Naiads are really good in many situations.
Right. Having a 4/6 flying Gary is pretty impressive.
Pretty hard to beat in the format, too.
Also, a flying black cat is pretty annoying.
Yes.
Or a flying death touch guy.
Anything flying is good. 3/3 flying death toucher. That sucks.
Yeah, the debilitating injury should probably be something else. I think he's running Peel from Reality over that.
Okay.
What do you feel about Sultai Scavenger?
I think you don't want any more Delve cards.
Yeah, you probably don't. That's a shame because it's not bad. I mean, 3/3 flying for probably fairly inexpensive.
But he doesn't do enough. He doesn't defend you very well.
No, but I mean, I guess he's pretty much only defense against flying. But the Naiads are probably better, even losing the 1/1. I'm surprised Angler hasn't appeared yet, but I didn't see it in any of the decks.
It even appeared in the Pro Tour.
Yeah. Well,
that was amazing.
It's an interesting card, I guess. I'm not set on fire by it, but no, I mean, it's a good deck, and I think you and Remedio are probably on a better track than _A was, but he didn't win.
Yeah, full respect to him. He played the deck well, and I think the differences between the decks are so small that they don't really matter that much.
Yeah,
and I think this deck has excellent game against all of the other decks that were in the tournament. So I might go as far as to say that this. I think we have kind of sold this format a bit, not totally, of course, but
right.
And I had
just playing 4 of the 2 most broken cards in the format turned out to be a pretty good plan.
Hey, who would have thought it?
Yeah.
But we don't have too much longer to wait.
No.
Did I talk about the port to Classic Pauper last time?
I don't think so.
No.
Okay.
No. Wait. You mentioned you were going to.
Yeah, I did. I took the Trinket Shell.
Yes.
I took out the Trinket Mage package in Grim Harvest. And pretty much replaced it with 4 Grey Merchants and 4 Treasure Cruises.
Nice.
Added some extra Chittering Rats and put in 4 Dark Rituals. And
I watched that.
Yeah,
I
did too.
Like, Dark Rituals. I was like, Dan, what are you doing? And it was awesome.
I'm almost thinking about putting in Cabal Ritual as well.
You're right.
Because the only thing that stops you, it plays like Necropotence. Because the only thing that stops you is the lack of mana. So you have 12 card draw spells main deck. You have 4 Malrifters, 4 Signing Bloods, 4 Treasure Cruises. So you will have cards. The only thing you are stopped by your lack of mana. So you need more fast mana.
The thing that typified watching you play that match was when you're like, well, guess I'll just draw 3 cards for 1 mana, and as you're clicking on your graveyard to delve, you go, what were they thinking with this card?
I played against an Izzet Delver deck. It's like the reigning deck of the format.
Right.
And sideboarded in 2 deep analysis as well. So then I had 14 card draw spells.
It did, when I was watching it did not feel like you were playing a Pauper deck. I was like, oh my god.
It didn't feel fair at all either, which is really nice.
I went with the Trinket Shell because I know that the Trinket Shell can stop Delver early. So with the 4 Fume Spitters and the 3 Tragic Slips, you have like the power to remove a turn 1 Delver. And I think that's the only thing you fear pretty much.
Right.
And compared to Trinket, you have a much better burn matchup. Because you have the Grey Merchants. It's probably excessive to have 4 Grey Merchants. I might go down to 3 and put in some sort of finisher because you lose the inevitability of the Grim Harvest lock.
Right.
So I might add a Twisted Abomination actually, just to have something to match with.
Oh, okay. That's not bad.
Witches are looking to get into the deck as well. Because I'm low on Devotion actually.
Oh, okay. I was wondering why you were going with the Witches, but that makes sense.
And the metagame looks pretty good for Witches. The one weakness would be Tron, but I think actually you could outdraw Tron, especially with the Twisted Abomination in the deck.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Twisted Abomination is a strong card.
I don't know if it's better than the Treasure Cruise optimized Delver deck, but I feel that if you play Classic Pauper right now, in the new daily events, for example, if you don't play 4 Treasure Cruises, you're doing something wrong. I think Treasure Cruise is broken, should be banned, and don't get the tournaments without 4 Treasure Cruises. If you play Burn, play 4 Treasure Cruise.
And then
whatever you can do.
You can play your
Just
thought
play it.
scours and your mental notes, which is the first time I think mental note has ever seen play. And then you can just power out your treasure cruises in like a turn. So
Yeah, that match was crazy because when I played the Delver deck with 4 mental notes, 4 thought scours, and 4 treasure cruises, I played against another Delver deck with 4 treasure cruises. I just outdraw him.
And I mean, Tom the Scud, he had put up something where he had listed how many decks in like the last month had played Treasure Cruise and Cloud of Fairies, and I asked him how many decks had overlap, and he's like, he thought he had found one Delver deck with overlap, and then he examined it like 20 minutes later. He wrote none. So, and I guess that's because most of the Cloud of Fairies are getting played in Familiars. And Familiars has no room for Treasure Cruise. So
Are you saying Delver decks are cutting Cloud of Fairies?
No, they're just not playing Treasure Cruise. From what he can, sounds... like he only does like top 4 and then winners. Typically is what he follows closest. So, like he's like most of the Delver decks that place top 4 are old school, not running cruise.
Yeah.
Which I can't even comprehend because it's such a strong card in the deck. So,
no, I can't even comprehend it either. You're like, here's a list.
That's why he's awesome, because he catches these odd, like, statistical things that you wouldn't think would be actually going on. But he catches them all the time, and he's like, this is odd, but it's what's been happening. So that's one of them. And then, like, he had put something up where January was, like, the worst month for Familiars. And we had a little discussion where it's probably people glomming onto the deck and then experienced pilots leaving it for other decks because they're probably just tired of playing such a boring deck. So,
yeah, I'm looking at Cy Post list from the daily on February the 15th, and he's playing 2 Gush and no Treasure Cruises, and he 4-0'd. So maybe Treasure Cruise
would be
is
good
not as
combination. So
he's playing 4 Ponder and 3 Preordains. So he has all the Treasure Cruise fuel you need.
But no cruises.
That's weird.
That is really weird.
I felt that the interaction between Ninja of the Deep Hours and Treasure Cruise was amazing. That you draw so many cards that they couldn't stop your ninjas, so then you drew even more cards.
That's
in
really
every
strange,
conceivable way, it sounds totally broken.
Okay, any Delver player from the Pauper Dailies, explain to us why Treasure Cruise is bad. Here's Cornelius Anubis playing in the same daily to 3-1 finish. He has 3 Treasure Cruises.
Okay. I mean, 3-1's pretty good. Was it the Turbo Cruise with all the mental notes, or was it kind of just...
No, it was just the ordinary thing.
Okay.
Actually, in this daily, the 5 top decks listed on Goldfish are all Delver, all mono blue Delver.
Right.
The next one by GT3 has 2 Treasure Cruises.
Okay.
Then we have Lance Center, he has 2. And Benji Cards, who has none.
So, I mean, there's probably a sweet spot in there, right? But nobody's kind of figured that out yet. I would imagine it's probably 2 to 3. I mean, it just feels like that. Even at cheap, it's still an 8 casting card that you don't want to cram.
Well, there are actually Treasure Cruises in the sideboards, which kind of makes sense.
I mean, did they replace Deep Analysis out of the board?
Yeah, I don't see any Deep Analysis.
Yeah.
Only one guy had the Treasure Cruise in the sideboard.
Okay, see, and I would imagine, I mean, that's got to be pretty equal of a swap out of the board.
Because against Isset Delver, against other Delver decks, surely you want 4 Treasure Cruises. Delver mirrors always stall out, and you can draw more Spire Golems than the other guy, so...
And then you win.
Yeah, I know I want more Treasure Cruise whenever I'm playing.
In any format, ever.
Exactly, why not?
I don't know what deck you don't want 4 Treasure Cruises. Yeah, this is not Treasure Cruise the podcast, but I'm still surprised.
I campaigned for Treasure Cruise the podcast, everybody. They voted me down.
Yeah,
maybe you don't want it against Familiars. Maybe you don't want it against Affinity?
Yeah, Affinity, it feels too dirtly, but doesn't almost everything you do against Affinity feel most of the time too dirtily?
Yeah.
And with against a familiar, it's like it just speeds up their inevitable win. So, but I mean, aggro,
maybe.
I mean, Delver Fiend. I've seen a couple posts recently, or a couple decks where they're trying out the Battle Rage.
Yeah.
So
right.
I think that can actually be really good in the deck. So, because it gives trample if you have a ferocious creature. So.
Well, yeah, just casting it will make the Cyclops ferocious.
And, I mean, that alone is like, that's what, 8 damage, trample? I mean, that's bonkers, so...
I have to correct myself. I can't read Goldfish. They really had a lot of other decks as well. That was just a list of the Delver decks.
Oh, okay.
Surokuku, the Delver Fiend Master, took Delver Fiend to 4-0 finish in that daily.
Nice.
Wow.
Playing 2 Treasure Cruise and 3 Battle Rages.
Yeah, so
wow.
he's got it. He's got the Battle Rage on lockdown there.
Yeah, and his Cat Assault Strobe.
Oh yeah, why play Assault Strobe?
Really? I guess Assault Strobe's not instant.
Yeah.
But it's faster.
It is faster.
Yeah.
But not instant. And it does not give...
doesn't
give trample.
The other 4-0 deck plays 4 Assault Strobes, 0 Teamer, Battle Rage, 0 Treasure Cruises.
How funny.
So it's old school.
Yeah,
we're gonna talk about old school versus new school on the Delver Fiend from now on.
How funny.
And there was a 3-1 deck as well. It also played 3 Battle Rage and 2 Treasure Cruise.
Excellent.
So there's got to be... So it looks like there's almost a zero-sum gain by taking out the Assault Strobes.
This might be the point, actually, where we need some listener feedback. Do you want us to cover the Pauper Dailies? We used to do that in the competitive Pauper cast back in the day. And I think it's quite interesting.
This podcast, with Dan's announcement and with the change in the title of the show, we want to cover, more formats, Classic Pauper being the most obvious format. Let us know. I mean, tweet, comment on the YouTube video, whatever you want to do. Just let us know what
Can
other
I say
things
something
you would like
about the name change?
Sure, go for it.
The reason we went for the name change was that Standard Pauper we love Standard Pauper, all of us.
Yes.
But it is quite narrow. And when we looked at the numbers, we had like 20 downloads from iTunes. That is random searches that find our podcast. But on Magic Gathering Strat, we had up to 300. So we figured that the people that were interested were all the Standard Pauper players and a lot of people from Magic Gathering Strat. So we felt that it was easier to be found on iTunes if we were general Magic podcast. Our focus will still be budget formats. We will occasionally talk about modern, pretty much talk about what's on the channel, and try to be a bit broader.
And keep in mind, we are really budgety, and we all have kind of the understanding that standard and modern a lot of the times are pay to play. And so we can talk about budget standard if you want, and we can talk about budget modern if you want. But those formats, you have to really put your money down if you really want to be successful for the most part. So standard Pauper costs at any given time way less than one Goblin Guide. So just keep that in mind when you make requests. But we'll talk about whatever is popular out there, so just let us know.
Your most important point there is actually we'll talk about what you want to hear. So we definitely need your feedback. What do you want to hear? If you have listened to the competitive Paupercast or to Pauper to the People, other podcasts we've been involved in, you could pretty much take any segment from those and we could resurrect them if they were interesting. So we'll talk about what you want. I'm always trying to make this podcast longer, and Brandon is trying to make it shorter. So we'll have a fight about it.
Right, we'll duke it out.
I'm not a stranger to 3-hour podcasts.
Whew.
Those are podcasts that we listen to, folks.
Yep. But let us know, please. This is a critical stage for us, and we need feedback.
And
we want to grow the listenership. What are you saying?
One thing I want to bring up is the set reviews, because we're expanding. We typically only cover standard Pauper, and then sometimes we talk about if we think a card on the rare chance is going to have classic Pauper implications. If you guys want expanded coverage on that, let us know. But no, probably our focus is going to be on the one format nobody ever talks about, and that's standard Pauper for the set reviews. Because lots of people cover every other format when they review the set, but we have that unique window into standard Pauper when we talk about them. So
yes. The thing about reviewing the set for standard Pauper takes hours. Reviewing the set for classic Pauper takes about 2 minutes. So we could probably throw in a review of the set for vintage as well. It's like, oh, there were no cards for vintage.
Yeah.
Right.
Takes 5 seconds.
Treasure Cruise and maybe Battle Rage out of the last 2 sets for classic Pauper, and that's it. We're done. So
you could mention the new lands all at once.
Yeah. They're good.
But once again, feedback is appreciated.
Yeah, anything you guys want to tell us, we want to hear it. Even the insults.
Please don't tell us that we are traitors to standard Pauper.
No.
I feel bad.
It will always be at the beginning of the show.
And think about it, guys. So in March, Dragons, and then Modern Masters 2 comes out in June, and then Magic Origins, and then new set in September, October. So we have literally between now and the end of the year 5 Magic sets coming out. So much spoilers, okay? So if you want us to shape it in any way, let us know. But no, we'll probably just concentrate on standard Pauper. So.
Right. Also, Origins, it's the last core set, but they also said that Origins has more unique to Origins cards than any core set has ever had.
And that is going to be amazing. Hopefully they won't reprint Divination again. But
awesome.
Oh, this time they'll reprint Treasure Cruise.
Oh
no. My week.
Your week, Sam.
Busy. And no deck updates. Really, I haven't played a lot of Magic. I got my sleeves for my cube, and then I built my cube online, and I'm thinking about running it for the website because Limited Resources has a cube presence online. Channel Fireball runs a cube. So I'm thinking about trying to do that as kind of like a pre-event on the website. And
that would be fun.
Trying to think of other things that has went on. Oh, I won. I'm 2-1 in the Sealed Standard Pauper League now. Playing a 5-colored monster. Go Cons lands. Because it's a Bant deck splashing a little bit of red and a little bit of black, and I'm playing all the morphs I can play.
You're insane.
Is amazing in the format. Let me tell you, having 8 creatures you can cast on turn 3 no matter what lands you have in play, bonkers. I won my second game tonight, going from 1 life to 4 life, playing nothing but the Cons lands. It was spectacular.
That's crazy.
So, it was really fun. Both of my matches so far have been like that, where they have attacked me. Last week I played a guy, he was playing Vant basically, and tonight my opponent was playing Gruul. Very aggressive. Got me to... last week I think I got as low as 4 life. Tonight I got as low as 1. And just playing throttles, playing kind of subpar removal like Kill Shot to get back into the game, and then using Vaporkins to finish them off. Very fun.
Sounds awesome.
It is an amazing format. I think every PTQ from now on should be standard Pauper sold. as my endorsement.
Every
PTQ. I think LSV would own that format, folks. So,
I'm sure it would.
And then I'm incredibly interested in other budget formats. I can't really do the weekend pre's, unfortunately, because I work Saturdays and Sundays. But if you guys want us to talk about other formats like Heirloom, Dan loves spreadsheets, or any of the other budget formats that are out there, there's a lot less than there used to be that get any sort of support from even the community. But we're happy to talk about anything. I know we got kind of mixed reviews off of Tiny Leaders, but especially for a format that we're never going to get to play online. But if you guys have anything out there that you think is budget and fun, let us know. We'll talk about it.
I agree. All right. My week, I also played my second sealed match, and I lost to beat Nick Bobby. Now, this loss, though, it was real close. I got down, I believe we both had 2 minutes in the final, in game 3, and we were slugging it out, just going, toe-to-toe the entire time. I don't feel bad about losing, just because it was so close. I think he had 7 life, and I had 5, and he managed to go over the top of me. It was a slugfest the entire time.
What were you two playing?
Selesnya.
Both of you?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, we were going nuts. I think he was, I forget what he was splashing, though. He had one other color. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, our decks were so similar. We were like, wow, okay. Didn't expect a mirror match in a sealed pool. But we did. It was crazily similar. So, very interesting.
Awesome.
Yep. Looking forward to the next one. I love getting those weekly pack updates. It's just like refining the deck. I hope it stays competitive.
I'm kind of sad that Sunday is so far away and I won't get my next pack until then.
Yeah, I've had to plan. The guy Beatnik is he's in Central Europe time.
He is in Sweden, if I remember correctly.
Is Beatnik?
Yeah. I think he is. Roberto had let me know that because I had asked for other guests that we might bring on the show, and he suggested Nick Bobby and a couple of other players, so I'm going to try to arrange those for the future.
Actually, if you're listening to this and you are in Stockholm, me and Arnok, a longtime fan of the channel, has been talking, and Matteo, who is making videos, we have been talking about getting a Magic Gathering Strat beer session in Stockholm. So if you are in Sweden, let me know.
And that will make me incredibly jealous if that happens.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, that'll be the subject of my video blog for that week, for sure.
Yeah. I would, man, that'd make me want to buy a ticket.
You're welcome.
Just fly over, have a beer, and come back.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not just staying for a beer.
You're like, I'm never coming back. It's socialist society and I love it. No.
With the hot blonde chicks who are 6 feet tall.
6 feet tall, yeah.
Yep. And love
It's
American
crazy.
accents.
Yeah, where we're the foreign accent.
Stop it.
Yes.
You're not making this sound unattractive. Not
And right now it's a lot of snow and freezing cold.
That helped.
Yeah. We have plenty. We're getting lots of snow here. Crazy, like 8-foot snow drifts all over the place. It's nuts.
Wow.
Not in Texas, but along the East Coast.
Yeah,
That's
I
insane.
thought you meant Texas.
Oh no.
No, we got 2 inches in 20 minutes this morning. Before I even woke up, it was really crazy. But
That's
it's like
nuts.
the third time it snowed in like 2 years, so I can't really complain.
Did traffic break down?
Somebody flipped a car on one of the routes I take to get to work, so that was kind of insane. But no, people know how to drive for the most part around here in the snow. I live in kind of a small college town, so it's not a big deal. It's not the same as like if you ever see ice in the south of the United States.
It's awful here when it happens.
It's
absolutely horrible.
Crazy. So
actually, in my other
the whole
home
area shuts down.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I was just anyway, go with what you're saying.
In the villa where I live with my wife, it's in the north of Sweden, in a place called Söderhamn. And if you are listening to this and are in Söderhamn, you definitely need to contact me because this place is empty. But here it's in this area of Sweden is called Northland. And it's right by the Baltic Sea, so you can get a snow cannon effect when the sea isn't frozen. So it's like there are violent snowstorms, and you can get like 2 feet in a day.
Oh my gosh.
And when that happens, by noon, the streets are all cleared and sanded. And like they're so experienced at this. But you might have to dig out your car, and you might even not find your car if you left it on the street. They actually had to a city. The closest biggest city is about 50 miles to the south, and there they actually had 7 feet of snow in one night.
Oh my gosh!
Wow, that would shut down my entire state.
That place was shut down because of that when it happened. It's the place where they burned the
gigantic goat?
Yeah. That's the place.
Excellent. I would go there and burn down their goat.
You'd be arrested.
I'd be willing to do that. I mean, I'm sure Swedish prisons are clean.
Yeah, they are vacation pretty much.
Very nice.
Oh, really?
Yes, they are. We treat our prisoners much better than we treat our elderly or our children.
Oh my god!
Sounds like America, but we don't treat our prisoners well.
No. It's really cozy here.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, but that's enough politics for now.
Okay, no more politics, more magic. Budget formats. I know. I like the idea of tiny leaders. But actually, any format that I can tweak and help the tabletop player, play amongst your friends. Maybe not be in a competitive scene, but play a similar kind of deck, but for far less money. I'm going to talk about it, so brace yourselves. All right.
We are spikes who play casual formats, folks. We really get into them.
I'm doing a big effort to get into Modern, so with Red Green Tron.
Oh, yeah.
Your Tron matches are amazing. I wanted to throw that out there. I've not watched one that I've been disappointed by.
So if anybody want me to talk Modern, I will. And if when I start playing dailies, I probably can't hold myself back.
Yeah, I think all of what you've been doing in Modern so far. Like, especially, with all your devotion to Tron, if you want to call it that.
I just love it. It's
his
like
affinity for Tron.
Haymaker.
Yeah. No, it's sweet. It's makes for good videos. I think everybody likes it, casting and watching big things being cast. I mean, it's what we grew up wanting Magic to be, right?
Yeah, I'm the Timmy Spike.
The Timmy Spike.
If Roam Crawl Engine would have existed when I first started playing Magic, I can't even imagine that scenario. I mean, that card is just insane in every conceivable way. And the fact that I've seen Dan drop like 2 of them in one turn makes me just love Tron even more. So.
It's like, oh no, I only have 12 mana. What can I do? Oh, okay, I dropped 2 worm coils.
2 worm coils.
So I can't play Emrakul yet. I have to do something.
Right. I can't cast Emrakul.
I even got my 18. What's the term for that? My cousin's son, who is 18. He's into paper Magic, and he's playing at the local scene in Stockholm.
Nice.
So I got him to find out where all the modern tournaments are, and maybe when Modern Masters 2 hits, if the Tron pieces are in there, I'll build a deck in paper.
Nice.
And go to some paper tournaments.
That would be awesome.
Super cool.
Yeah, I was when I was at the World Championship back in the 90s twice, I went with the guy who actually owns the biggest Magic store in Stockholm. But I haven't talked to him in like 15 years. So that'll be cool to show up at his store.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be just like old times.
Yep.
With better cards.
And he'll be much fatter.
So mean, so mean.
Yes.
All right. Well, F&M, again, I keep saying it. I keep wanting to hear from you guys and gals. I'm not discriminatory. Anyone who can set up a Friday Night Magic or any sort of paper standard Pauper, you let me know about it. Let's get the word out. Let's get everybody involved. It'll be awesome. We'll be tweeting. We'll be Instagramming if you want to. I don't even know what that is, but I hear it's awesome. Anyway, well, this slide shouldn't be in here. I don't know why it's here.
It was an amazing time.
If the Patreon reaches $50, there will be a third season.
Yep, we'll see this right here, this 1-4, folks. The Patreon hits. That'll change to a 5.
I know a guy that has a beard and is on this podcast right now that is going to try to make that happen. I suggest everybody else do it because Dan plays a million games of Magic to make that thing happen, and it's spectacular. So
it's the premier event.
It is.
I would say.
He's the only person that I've ever talked to in my entire life who has went, I just played 20 games of Magic in 2 days, and I want to play 20 more. And that's worth $50, folks. It really is.
The Patreon needs to hit 50 before the end of September, and I'll probably start the third season on November 8th.
Is that after the set comes out?
I guess that would work because the fall set will come out in October.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not like the fall set's going to really probably lead to a lot of changes in the format anyway, so I would think.
That is one of the reasons. The other reason is that my mountain biking competition season ends on November 1st.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
That's a good reason.
Sounds good.
I actually did another month last year, but that was a pretty miserable month.
Oh. It's way too cold.
Yeah, and way too dark, and it gets dark at 3 p.m. here in November.
Oh my gosh. That's nuts. Is that when you fell in the swamp?
Yes. I also encountered the first day it went below freezing, and you had this, I don't know the English term, but the street looked okay, but it was covered with a thin sheet of ice that you could see.
Mm-hmm.
Black ice.
Black ice.
Yes,
Black ice.
And that cost me a rib.
Ugh.
Ooh.
That's awful.
Ouch.
Yeah. So I'll end that on November 1st.
That seems like a good idea.
Okay, what can I say now to make this podcast be 3 hours long?
I don't know. It's going to be at least an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's a Gwynedd thing, yeah.
Yeah. So, we'll figure out more stuff, I promise.
We need the Patreon link on that slide.
Yes, we do. All right, well, that brings us to the end of the show. When you want to contact us, here's the way you can do it. Website, MagicGatheringStrat.com. YouTube. If you're watching this, you're already here. It's YouTube, Magic Gathering Strat. Please subscribe. Now, if you'd like to help us out, patreon.com/MagicGatheringStrat is where you can go and become a patron of this channel, this podcast, the videos, everything we produce. It's a good way to help out. Twitter is @MagicGathStrat. If you want to follow me, I am at Cerulean Says Hi. Hello. If you want to follow Sam, it's at SPO7677, our Facebook / Magic Gathering Strat. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell everyone you know. This is the thing to be. And don't forget, we're also on iTunes. You can subscribe. Anyone who is already a subscriber to the standard Pauper show will automatically start getting these as well. Even though we changed the name, it doesn't really affect your subscription, which is handy to know. So I guess that's it for this week. For the Magic Gathering Strat Show, I am Brennan.
I'm Dan.
I'm Sam.
And this has been the Magic Gathering Strat, the podcast.
Oh, look, it's a ghost dragon. Nom, nom.
Nom nom nom.
Karn-like dragon.
Karn put dragon where your Ursa lands are. In exile.
Hey. Karn's an awesome planeswalker.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.